Hey there, good people, it's your Crippled Critic, and this week I want to talk about Mass Effect Legendary Edition. In case you couldn't tell by watching some of the videos on my channel, I'm a huge fan of old Bioware games like Mass Effect and Dragon Age. They had such detailed lore and memorable characters, they'll always be some of my favorite games. So I was super excited to play this remaster, not just for the upgraded visuals and technical improvements, but all the DLC that's included, which was previously something you had to buy separately. In case you're not familiar with Mass Effect, it's a sci-fi game with third-person shooting combat and RPG elements. There are also narrative choices you can make that carry over throughout the entire playthrough. Mass Effect Legendary Edition is an HD remaster of the main three games in the Mass Effect trilogy. Just to be clear, most of the gameplay and control options from the original games remain the same, but there are a few noteworthy additions to accessibility in this remaster. For transparency, I do want to say that I'm reviewing the PC version of this game, so it might be different if you're playing on a console version. So when you first start up Legendary Edition, you'll see something new called the Unified Launcher, which affects all three games. You'll only be able to change the audio levels and subtitles for all three games in this menu. The rest of the options will be found in the individual options menus for Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. Right off the bat, I want to say that disabled gamers with fine motor skill impairments will be happy to know you can play all three games in windowed mode, and the on-screen keyboard works without any major issues. Funny enough, I didn't actually have to use the on-screen keyboard when playing any of the games, but the option is there if you need it. Controls are completely customizable this time around, and the melee function can be mapped to an individual button command. Your squad mates can be controlled independently if you want, and combat has been rebalanced to be a lot less challenging for all players, with additional cover throughout the environment. I did run into a few issues when it came to aiming, but only in the first game, Mass Effect 1. The aiming sensitivity was really low, even when I cranked it all the way up. I feel like this has to do with the mouse dampening feature because in Mass Effect 2 and 3 I had no problems, but there was a separate mouse dampening option you could turn on and or off to make it less sensitive, but this was not in the first game. Like I said before, any issues with game difficulty and aiming that were in the original are still prevalent here. For some reason, I don't know. I read that EA claimed to improve the aim assist, but I don't see where that is at all. I can only assume that they meant they would tweak the passive aim assist mechanic that already existed. There's no way to turn on a separate aim assist. Other than a few heat-seeking weapons, I didn't notice much of a difference at all with aiming. Except in Mass Effect 3. When firing at enemies in the third game, your shots were way more accurate, and enemies take damage as long as you're just shooting in their general vicinity. I also think I should mention that Mass Effect 2 still focuses much more on combat and changing ammo. I expect that a lot of disabled gamers will have trouble here, so I recommend turning on active mode when it comes to your squad's abilities. It'll take the pressure off of you and your squad will handle enemies on their own. Also turning the difficulty option to casual, especially in Mass Effect 3, the casual mode is much more nuanced, and choosing this difficulty will automatically focus the game on narrative, less on combat, and enemies will be weaker and your party will have more health. The biggest upgrade for gamers with fine motor skill impairments has to do with the vehicle controls, specifically the Mako in Mass Effect 1 and the Hammerhead in Mass Effect 2. The shuttlecraft controls are so much better than they ever were before. It's funny because I've heard a lot of reviewers say that the Mako controls are still terrible in Legendary Edition, but I might be the only person in the world that actually enjoys the Mako now. I think originally I didn't, the controls were terrible in the original game, but now instead of forcing you to use the keyboard directional keys with the mouse, the camera and directional controls can be used with just a mouse, which basically means that you can drive and shoot with just a mouse. Also, lava no longer instantly destroys your vehicle. Instead, there'll be a damage meter that's shown on screen. This has made things so much easier for me, and I actually enjoyed going to different planets and traversing the terrain in the Mako. For gamers with visual impairments, you can change the brightness slider in the option menu for all three games. Legendary Edition now has a resolution mode, which changes your resolution depending on whether you want to have quality or frame rate. Colorblind players might have some problems dealing with the hacking minigames, specifically in Mass Effect 2. Most of the hacking has to deal with matching symbols, but there are times where there are color signifying patterns too. The majority of hacking is optional, but I thought it was worth mentioning. Deaf players have a lot more options when it comes to subtitles in the Legendary Edition. Like I said before, the unified launcher gives you the option to change audio, language, and subtitle sizes. The sizes can be changed to small, medium, and large subtitle font. More subtitles have been added to cover like background, dialogue, and ad-lib lines that weren't originally subtitled. Mass Effect 3 specifically isn't always consistent when it comes to background dialogue, but all the important subtitles for story dialogue is definitely there and easily readable. The story remains unchanged mostly, except for the DLC that was originally separate, like the Citadel DLC and Omega. It was so much fun replaying all these games 10 years later, and I was surprised how many quests I had missed originally, especially in the first game. It is unfortunate that some of the cut content, like the Caden romance in the first game and the same-sex romances for Thane and Jack in the second game, are not in the Legendary Edition, but on PC and with mods, I was able to romance three different males as a gay male shepherd, and I got the achievement for romancing all three at the end. More on that in a separate video. Overall, the Mass Effect Legendary Edition brings back all the awesome characters and sci-fi lore that fans know and love. It's nowhere near a perfect remaster, but it's definitely the most accessible version of Mass Effect to date. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. So sorry again, it's been a long time since I've done a new video. I've really just been busy with Mass Effect. I've recorded every single minute of me playing the first, second, and third game. If you guys want me to post more of my Let's Plays, let me know in the comment section down below. Thanks again for watching, and as always, I will see you later.